leaving everything behind, having a lack of humanity, pursuing your own goals, and doing whatever it takes to win no matter what the cost. Those are just some of the things that the strongest characters have in common in Jujutsu Kaisen. This is a theme that's constantly showed throughout the story and something that I find really interesting. So today I'll be going over what I think makes up the strongest in terms of mindset. But before we get to the video, I would like to ask for you to subscribe and leave a like on the video if you haven't already, as it really helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. Also, feel free to comment some videos you'd like to see me make down below, and I might just end up doing them. But without further ado, let's get to the video. To be the strongest in Jujutsu Kaisen is not just merely about being strong. The strongest sorcerers in the series all have something similar in the way they think, approach fights, and even live every day. The difference between an average sorcerer like say Nanami and the strongest sorcerers like say Gojo or Sukuna is a lot more than just getting lucky with what curse technique they were born with. Yes, that does go into your potential and how far you can get, but it's not the most important part, because what's really important is the way you think. Megumi, for example, didn't grow very much for a good chunk of the series, even though he has one of the best curse techniques, simply because he wasn't thinking correctly. And what I mean by that is truly desiring growth by any means. Looking back on the conversation Megumi had with Gojo, Gojo tells him that dying to win and risking death to win are two different things. Gojo here is essentially telling Megumi that because Megumi always relied on his trump card, Maharaga, Megumi couldn't imagine a stronger version of himself. But if he risked even death to win and started being greedier, then he could start reaching his true potential. The point here Gojo was trying to make to Megumi is that even in situations where you aren't sure of victory, even when you're on death's door and the odds of winning are low, that's when you need to be greedy and engage in those situations anyway, because once you do, the door for growth then opens. We see multiple examples of this throughout the series, from Gojo and Sukuna going straight into a domain clash with each other without knowing what would happen when they did, to Kashimo being unsure of victory against Akari while he's in Jackpot, but still standing strong and trying to kill the immortal anyway, rather than just try to avoid Akari for his 4 minutes and 11 seconds until Akari's domain runs out. You see, they don't view these moments of uncertainty as if they are going to lose. Rather, they see it as a challenge and an opportunity to strengthen their jujutsu and become stronger. It's that same risk and hunger for growth that causes these sorcerers to continue no matter what and reach into a higher realm of power. Hunger for growth is just something you see in the strongest. Sukuna explained it best to Jogo after Jogo refuses to open his domain against Sukuna because he knows he would lose. Sukuna then responds with "spoken like a true loser" because he sees the unwillingness to even try to become better, and goes on later to tell Jogo that to reach the heights of Satoru Gojo, he should have burnt everything he desired to a cinder and not worry about anything, but Jogo lacked the hunger to take hold of his desires. That is why he couldn't grow, and that is why he couldn't reach into the realm of the strongest. Obviously, the wanting to grow and risking whatever it takes to win is only a part of the mindset it takes to tap into the unthinkable heights, because another common ground that the strongest have is that at some point they lose their humanity and relieve themselves of all burdens they may have. The best example of this happening is definitely Gojo fighting Toji for the second time after being on death's door and forced to either grow or die as a sorcerer by learning reverse curse technique. He's floating in the air as he's thinking about how he's not angry or vengeful about Amanai's death, but he says everything right now just feels right before going on to say the famous line, "Throughout the heavens and the earth, I alone am the honored one." This perfectly fits the idea that the strongest also become burdenless, because how Gojo doesn't care about anything or anyone in the moment and just has pure bliss and euphoria for his new rise in power as he arrogantly proclaims himself as the honored one. This is the same arrogance that even Nanami calls out after Gojo dies, as he tells Gojo, "You just live for jujutsu, you don't wield it to protect something, you use it solely for the sake of satisfying yourself." And not once does Gojo ever deny the claim, rather he just seems annoyed, almost as if he knows it's true but doesn't want other people to realize it. Sukuna also represents this idea pretty well, just alone from the panel of him being described as a natural disaster, like a tornado or a hurricane, causing destruction and chaos everywhere he goes, as well as him living for nothing other than to be the embodiment of what it means to be the strongest. Losing your humanity is also an occurring theme in Jujutsu Kaisen, and it has very deep ties to growth as a sorcerer or even non-sorcerer. Maki losing her humanity caused the growth of her rising to a demonic fighter on the level of Toji. Yuta losing his humanity is letting him put up a fight against Sukuna, etc, etc. Speaking of Sukuna, Sukuna himself himself probably has the least amount of humanity in the series, saying himself, quote, "I eat what I want to eat, play with what amuses me, and kills whoever is in my way. I live as befits my nature. If no one can grasp that, that's their problem." End quote. As you can see, Sukuna doesn't care for anyone or anything that he doesn't find amusing to him. He just does as he pleases, without empathy and definitely without humanity. The lack of morality and reason in the actions of sorcerers that share this mindset is part of what goes into becoming burdenless, less human, and causes a further amount of growth and strength. Now, having no humanity and disregard for everything can make a sorcerer a lot stronger, but I don't think it's the only thing that goes into becoming the strongest. Because some characters in Jujutsu Kaisen have no humanity, some are very selfish, some have desire to take hold of their goals, some become burdenless, and some do whatever it takes to win and grow. Obviously, there are certain characters that would fall into either 1, 2, or maybe even 3 of these categories, but from what I noticed is the characters who achieve the heights of the absolute strongest embody all or almost all of these characteristics. For example, Yuji does whatever it takes to win against Sukuna. Maki, like I said earlier, has no humanity. Kashimo is very selfish and does whatever it takes to win and get stronger. Yuta lost his humanity and also does whatever it takes to win. But if you look at the top, the pinnacle of Jujutsu, the two that obviously embody all these ways of living and mindsets is Satoru Gojo, and even more so, Ryomen Sukuna. Coincidentally, also the two strongest in the verse. And if you analyze these two characters in particular, the reason they are on a whole different level than everyone else, I think can be attributed to the fact that they both share the same personality traits to the full extent. They both lost their humanity, they both are selfish, they both don't see themselves losing, they do whatever it takes to achieve new levels of power, they both became burdenless, and they both take hold of their goals and have the desire to achieve them. Even when asked about what to do with their corpses, they both have similar answers. Gojo says, "I don't plan on losing, but who cares what happens to your body after you die?" As Sukuna says, "If I lose, then that would mean I'm dead, and it doesn't matter what you do with a corpse." As you can tell, they both don't care about having a funeral or what happens to their body after they die, because if they're dead, that would mean they lost, and the idea of simply losing is almost disrespectful to them. In their own minds, they would never lose, and if they did, that would mean they just weren't strong enough. And now, while Gojo definitely has some sort of all these personality traits, as well as definitely sharing that mindset, I do think Sukuna takes all these things to an extreme, simply for the fact he cares for absolutely nothing at all. I mean, he is literally a demon to the full extent. While Gojo at least tries to connect with people, Sukuna literally doesn't care about connecting with anyone. And this is also ironically reflected in who is stronger between the two, the one who embodies the mindset of the strongest the most. Now, this is just my thoughts into what it goes into reaching the pinnacle of the Jujutsu world and being the strongest. Thank you for making it this far if you did. I put a lot of work into these videos, so if you could leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it, and expect more videos soon. With that being said though, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.